The reading for December 25th is Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. This is the familiar story of the visit of the Magi. Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose, and have come to worship him." When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea. For it is written by the prophet, O you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go, search diligently for the child. And when you have found him, bring me word, that I too may come and worship him." After listening to the king, they went on their way, and behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy, and going into the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. This is a familiar story of the wise men. Another word for them is magi. And if you remember in studying the book of Daniel, Daniel was put into the class of those who were called the magi. It's where we get the word magic from today, but it's not quite the equivalent. They weren't magicians, but they were supposed to ascertain the history and chronicles of history. They were supposed to interpret dreams. They were the psychologists of their day. And they were supposed to know things that were said to come. And I think what's so fascinating is they come looking for a star, as Numbers makes an allusion to. They come ascertaining that, in fact, this is the time period in which Christ would be born. And you think of Daniel and his prophecy of a certain number of years until Messiah would come, that these magi were, in a sense, the spiritual descendants of Daniel. To think of having a legacy that would last almost 500 years or 400 years later, when people would follow, in fact, what you had laid out and would come and visit looking for a Messiah. Herod, of course, never really studied himself, but he asked everybody else, and people know that there's these prophecies. People know that the prophet had said he was to be born in Bethlehem, and so they go and they bring gold, frankincense, and myrrh. If you ever sing the song "We Three Kings," look at the other verses about gold, about frankincense, and about myrrh. It's amazing what these magi knew from the prophecies that had been given to them by Daniel. They knew, number one, gold, this was a king. That is the gift that is appropriate for a king. Frankincense is what you used for worship. They came to worship. And myrrh, which is a burial oil. They knew he was a king who came and is worthy of worship, and that he would die. That was part of his mission. They knew a lot, maybe more than most. Who knows, maybe more than Mary at the time, in terms of how it was that he would be the Savior and show mercy. But a fascinating connection there with Daniel, and the fact that Daniel's teaching of these men would eventually lead likely to them being the ones that came searching for the Messiah. That was a reading for December 25th.